down.
Okay.
Wildfire
Stuff like that,
casino.
not stuttering, he's not having to think as much
Oh,
about
415, Highway 415.
We deal with
They
that
got
all the
Debbie's
time.
haircut
We see
place.
Okay.
And, Wildfire Casino.
So
whatever
you
it's
live
called.
across from that?
Yeah, there's one road.
Okay,
Emily,
let's see, the family lives down there,
Scalise or Blanchard?
well, they got,
Concerns of God.
They had a guy who was head of the school board.
Lamont. the Lamont.
Oh, he's dead.
The Lamont
And the other
owns
one
some
left.
property in there, though.
Huh?
They own some property.
Yeah, well, our luxurious planning and zoning board managed to change the zoning, even though everybody on the street didn't want it. They overrode that and did it anyway for him, so he's building a bunch of what I call
But
shacks.
he was
Who is,
Yeah, one of Lamont's kids,
okay.
which,
Well, that's the only, I've done some title work, but we talking about 20 years
yeah,
ago. I did work for them, maybe 25 years ago.
it
It's
ain't
been
gonna
a
affect
long
me as much. This one guy that's got, the black guy that's got the big house in the front,
But that's
he's
what
gonna
you-
have 4 houses in his backyard.
Exactly.
Next lot, because
They allowed the,
yeah, they just changed it. I went in there and said, no,
is
the
that where
guy-
JD, is that where JD and Peggy live?
Yeah, Peggy and Jay, well, Katie died.
Yeah,
Peggy
yeah.
lives, there's past me, there's a vacant Kingfield lot. There's, you know Steve Blanchard?
Mhm.
He lives next to that, he lives next to Peggy.
So that's
So,
what,
I've known Peggy and JD
Yeah.
for 30 years.
Yeah, well, I was in school with both of them.
Were you?
Yeah, oh yeah, well, Peggy was a classmate,
Mm.
JD was like 2 years ahead of us.
I heard Peggy had a bad situation. I didn't know about Steve.
Peggy did?
Apparently she fell down or passed out in the yard and she couldn't
Yeah.
get up. She cut herself bad or something.
Recently?
Yeah, and she had to crawl to the house, left a blood trail.
Really?
Yeah, Steve told me, like, oh my gosh, you know, she didn't have a phone with her. They need to do for her what they did, what we did for mom, one of those emergency buttons where you push it, it calls automatic. They probably did that.
Damn.
But yeah, man, you feel like you're right there close, but you don't know somebody's laid out in the ground, you know?
Yeah. How long was she down?
I don't know. Steve told me the story quickly. He said she passed out or fell out in the yard. Must have hit something on the way down, I guess.
I did.
And cut herself and left, as Steve said, left a trail of blood all the way back where she crawled to the house. And got to a phone, but, oh, that's a terrible
Peggy,
thing.
you know Peggy. Listen, the one that with no objection, is that this side or this side?
Both of them have signed no objection.
Okay, why did
It's 2 separate names.
Oh, that's two, oh,
two different
I just
names.
assumed that was like a husband and wife.
This one is this one, and that one is that one.
Okay, so both sides. And the thing is gonna be right in here.
Right, they pulled the slab right here,
Yeah.
and they thought it was 10 feet like it used to be right back there. And it's, yeah.
Hey, Steve, how you doing, man? How's your dog doing?
85 pounds,
Is this the?
9 months old.
Yeah, the couple that's sitting right here, yeah, that's
My lab is right at 40, she's 5 months old.
everybody else.
This dog is surprisingly, I knew that German Shepherds were supposed to be smart, I know they raise them smart, but he actually is very, very
Are we okay?
You all right?
That's the age, man.
You got a wife? That's something I ought to be doing.
And my brothers, we went to drag and my dad's.
A German Shepherd,
He
he
says,
goes
"No, I don't
out and gets sticks, brings
I got all the time. I'm like skipping like if I walk them. I don't say a Nolan or something. My foot is skipped like one of them. But it's been doing that for years.
Maybe you need to cut a little bit off the end, it's just a little too long.
Italian girls happens all the time.
Look, I've done it. Of course, I just didn't see a drop, but I
Yeah.
did.
because I was gonna say my German
We're not
Shepherd,
gonna
he
have-
turns out to the one we
There's
scratch.
in the camper the other night.
After
I
it goes
the
in for
girls
that
all
third
slept in
stick,
Debbie's
it's
camper, and I just fell right out the bunk.
Why you leaving? Why you leaving?
Man, it looks like Rover's not showing up or is he?
He's not here and it's time to click, so I'm gonna assume he's,
So we're just all.
yeah, I think we need to. Okay, Gary had a stroke. Gary Perkins had a stroke. He's doing
That
very
doesn't
well.
look like a
He
hole.
won't make it. And it looks like Mr. Grover's not. So we'll have a board.
My golden retriever, Swims out there, he sticks now,
It's 5 o'clock.
with the damn,
Get him in there.
Hit the gas, son.
German Shepherd swims out, takes a stick from him, and swims back with him. He's just a million dogs, man.
Hey, Steve.
Yes.
Steve, you ready?
Yeah.
You ready? That's all right.
Being a social
That's
wizard.
okay. I just, I don't want to be accused
No,
of
I
crime.
understand.
Call the meeting to order. Just as a reminder to everyone to please silence all cell phones and electronic devices. Please call the roll.
Everybody click in.
Vote your machines.
Okay, we have a
Is
quorum.
everybody?
Everybody's here, we have a quorum.
All right. How many we got?
Five.
Five-member presence. We have a quorum. The minutes of the previous meeting of August the 20th, 2019 were previously mailed out. Had a chance to review them. Any changes or objections? And if not, I need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay,
I'll
Did you do
second.
it
let's
on the
see,
machine?
do it on the machine, I think.
Gotta have it up in.
Okay. Then, well, let's try this.
She's ready? Okay.
And
And,
it's unanimous.
All, the minutes have been approved. Is there any correspondence?
Not at this time.
No correspondence. We'll open the public hearing. File number 19, Joan and Curtis Nyland, 3741 Emily Drive, Port Allen, Louisiana, to erect a metal building at the end of the driveway. They request a variance of 5 feet from the west side setback. 15 feet is required, requesting a 10-foot instead. Neighbors have no objections to a 10-foot request. We'll open the public hearing and ask if Mr. and Ms. Nyland, or either of y'all, or both of you want to be heard, or?
We appreciate the board for hearing our petition tonight. Just as we said, we plan to erect a metal building, a red iron frame. It's a very nice, very well-constructed piece, not a tubular frame or anything like that. It is color-coded, trim and all onto it, so it adds to the value of the property. I would like to have as much variance as possible due to the fact of the width of the building winds up behind the garage itself. So the more that I can get on the easement from the western property will help, but we understand, you know, the limits that we have, so one can see about where it's going to be at on the back section of the property there. Is there any questions that anyone would like to ask or anything? Yes, Mr. Steve.
One thing, I'm sure it's all very nice. The thing that comes to my mind is setting a precedent. Can you put that building up using the 15-foot variance? Or is it just an inconvenience, or it won't fit, or just what?
It pushes 1/3 of the building behind the garage, making the two double doors, you know, one of the two double doors unusable. The only other way to make it work would be to spin it 180 degrees, back it up to the garage that you see that comes off the back of the home, facing the whole building, then west. Now that puts me closer to the rear property line. And I think it's going to push me with under 10 feet. Might be something like 5 to 7, but I did not make a close measurement on it. Either one will work.
What's the what's the back variance restriction on the property?
The rear,
Yeah, the rear.
he's gotta be 10 feet from the
10 feet?
rear.
Okay. That might be,
He's asking for a side setback.
he just asked, he said either one would work, and the side setback, in my mind, would set a precedence for everybody else in that neighborhood. if it'll fit with turning the building 180 degrees, if he reaches the 10-foot variance, that may be a better option. I'm just throwing that out there for people to think about.
The only thing I'm thinking about is, you're talking about if he does it to the side, if he turns around the other way, it's only just a few feet difference. And it doesn't look appealing, I don't think, for the subdivision to be.
No, it has nothing to do with aesthetics that way.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm saying is, there's a lot of houses on Emily Drive,
Right.
and this is strictly asking for a variance for convenience. It would look better, it would function better, I understand. It would be perfect, the way you're saying. But if, as is, we allow that variance, I don't know how we would tell anybody else on that street that they couldn't. And I don't know how fair that is to everybody else. If you did turn it 180 degrees, you say you're not sure how far from the back property line that would be?
I can do a rough math and, in my head and see it's, let's see, 24 foot puts me 10, it would put me roughly, I'm doing 30 feet. It's gonna put me right at the 10 feet
Okay.
line point. Because the building right now is 24 feet in depth, which puts me close to the 10-foot line from the back. So if I add the other 10 feet to it, spin it around, I'm gonna be over, pushing back to that line.
I got you.
If you spun it around, would it make that building less functional?
No, it wouldn't. It would not make it less functional. I'm gonna have to rework concrete anyway. The slab's going to 6 inches, it's gonna be a 2-foot footing all the way around. So it just puts me pretty close to the canal bank.
Yeah.
I did not, like I say, take good hard measurements
So
on
it's
that way
possible-
because I assumed it would be,
So it's possible that you could be closer than you should be, that 10-foot setback if you spun.
I'm afraid I'm over by the math. I know that I'm gonna be over because I'm right at it right now at 24 feet, give or take a foot. I'm right at that 10-foot marker. So if I add another, if we go from 24 to 30, I'm 5 feet into it without, any question at all. If that is okay, and if that's the way we have to go, I can make it work. The problem right now is that by shoving it to the east, right now, as much as 13 feet, it makes half of it unusable from an entryway.
Right.
Right.
At 5 feet, if I'm getting 10-foot variance, I'm right where the door is, right against the edge of the shop area, right at the tail end of it. If I could get to 5, it really makes it completely functional.
Right.
But I'm willing to work any way I can, with this to see if we can get to some agreement on it. I'm stuck with a shop right now, sitting back there in pieces and nothing that I can do with it.
My only dilemma is, it has nothing to do with the aesthetics quality, I'm quite sure. Looking at your house, it's big enough, I could probably drop 2 of my houses. But what's fair to everybody else on Emily Drive is what comes into play. If we okay that without a hardship that's irreversible, that you just can't get around it,
Mhm.
it opens up a precedent for anybody else on that very long street full of houses to do the same thing. And whether their neighbors like it or not, it gets sticky. I'm just gonna ask, if you moved it over to the, I guess you said the east, you'd lose usage of one of the double garage doors.
Completely.
Yeah.
It makes it a single entry then instead of the double, which it was originally designed
I
for.
understand.
I'm moving up as far as I can to on top of the house just about with it, but
I'm sure you are. I know you're trying to make this work, and I wanna see it work. But, I just wanna let everybody know that need to pick what's best for not only, this gentleman here, but everybody else on the street. It opens up that, I'll call it a can of worms. It may never come up. But there's a lot of people live on that street, and they're dependent on the guidelines that were established.
You know, there's a lot of them who have gone over those guidelines
Yes, sir.
and got through it.
Yes,
fact, I think
yes,
I
yes,
think
they
we-
have.
And I've tried to play by the rules.
Yes, sir. And I know exactly what you're saying, and I commend you for it. And that's why I say we want to do everything we can for you and for everybody else. But yeah,
Yes, sir.
there's no telling how many people have put up a building just like yours and gone down the road, and it's.
It's a
more
nice
people than ever
subdivision.
go.
I don't want to see anything, you know, really to cause it to drop. I mean, it's a lot of money and people in homes and things there. It's a very nice place.
Yeah, I used to live there. My ex-wife still has my house. Don't worry, we get along.
I've been there.
I don't have anything else to say.
Anybody else got any other comments or questions?
If we approve as presented, you're good, your neighbors are good, you can use it as a functional building.
As per what everything's planned, it can go in at that, you're talking about at the 10-foot?
Correct.
It will work at that limit. I can make it work.
Just a point of order, the only thing we can do is what he's requested. We can't,
Right.
yeah,
That's my point.
right. We can either turn it up or down. We can't vary it, because that's what the public notice was on.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Anybody in the audience care to be heard or for or against? Okay, if no further questions, comments, we're going to close the public hearing. Do we need to, we don't need to vote on that, do we? Or
Yeah, you have to vote on it. You close the public hearing, so we don't have to vote on the public hearing. Is that
Okay.
what you mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
You can take
go
action.
back to the meeting, and is there anybody have a motion in this matter? Any discussion?
I make a motion that we accept it.
Okay,
The 5 foot.
put the,
There's your
Okay,
motion.
5-foot variance?
if you'll press your machine, and we have so we have a motion and a second.
I'll second that.
And Scott,
All right.
okay?
Vote your machines. It's 4-1 vote. The motion carries, so the variance request has been approved.
Once again, thanks for doing it the right way.
Thank you all. Next is election of officers. I guess we have a chairman and a vice chairman, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
Since you have two missing, if y'all want to table that to the next meeting, or if y'all want to do it now, it doesn't matter. Up to you.
Doesn't matter to me, whatever's the pleasure.
Doesn't matter.
It's fine, let's do it now.
Okay.
Do it now.
Do y'all want to vote on them together or separate?
I don't know it.
Do we have a motion for either way? For
Uh,
officers?
Go
You
ahead.
should, you
Separately.
should.
Separately?
All right.
Okay.
Nominations are open for chairman.
I'd like to make a nomination of Mr. LeBlanc as chairman.
Gary LeBlanc?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Any other nominations? If not, the nominations are closed. Mr. LeBlanc, all in favor of Mr. LeBlanc? Vote yes.
We got,
Oh, I'm sorry. Did it pop up? Well,
It didn't
yeah,
pop
you
up.
It didn't pop up?
Not yet.
No,
Let's try again. Is it there?
no.
No.
there you go.
Well, that's unanimous.
Well, there you go.
Okay, Mr. LeBlanc is elected chairman. Nominations now open for vice chairman.
Gary Perkins.
Okay,
All right.
okay. Can you,
Any other nominations? If not, we'll close the nominations and vote your machine. And
unanimous?
Mr. Perkins is elected vice chairman.
Yeah.
You better be.
That's all the officers we have? or-
That's it. That's all
Okay.
we have.
Very good.
And you can entertain a motion to adjourn.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will raise that motion.
Jay,
I'll second it.
Scott.
It's already
There you
got it.
go. Super.
There we go.
That's it.
Meeting stands adjourned.
Get right now.
Oh,
Love you anyway.
that's okay.
He was ready.
It's good to pass.
Well, I figured you got done 2 terms. You know?
Well, they gonna cut some nerves in, so I'll do something.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, congratulations.